everybody, it's Katie Snyder at Museum of the Grand Prairie in the Champaign County Forest Preserve District. I'm here the week of Martin Luther King Day, and I wanted to take a minute to read you a little story that has to do with Martin Luther King and all the work he did. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm grown and I learn a whole lot from children's books, like this book right here. This book is called Coretta Scott, and it's by Ntozake Shange, and the paintings are by Kadir Nelson. And as you can see, the paintings are just stunning. So let's give it a listen, see what we can learn about Coretta Scott. Some southern mornings, the moon sits like an orange sliver in the treetops. Pictures are so pretty. Coretta and her siblings walked all of 5 miles to the nearest colored school in the darkness with the dew dampening their feet. And back then, they used the word colored when they meant African American or black. The white school bus left a funnel of dust on their faces, but the songs and birds of all colors and rich soil where slaves sought freedom steadied them in the face of danger. So far we learned that Coretta and her brothers and sisters had to walk 5 miles. The white kids had a school bus. Over years, learning and freedom took hold of Coretta's soul till she knew in her being that the good Lord intended freedom for the Negro. And that's what they said back then, Negro, instead of black or African American. Martin Luther King Jr., a young preacher, prayed for freedom. Coretta prayed, 2 minds attracted in prayer. Yes, they could do something among the many who thought moral power would overturn Jim Crow. They prayed together, found joy, and were married. When they say Jim Crow, that means all the unjust laws that segregated people, that were made things really quite not only difficult, but maybe impossible for black people. According to Gandhi, the humility of millions could free more than just one people. It could free the world. And the world for Coretta and Martin was the South. And they went to Montgomery to their new parish. So Gandhi was a civil rights leader in India that Martin Luther King learned all about, and he followed a lot of the ways of Gandhi. And the Montgomery Bus Boycott was just the beginning of a long journey. You might have learned about the bus boycott. It went on for a very long time. It was about black people not having, the law stopped black people from being able to sit at the front of the bus. So everybody walked for a very long time. They boycotted buses. More boycotts and sit-ins for many Negro students felt bound to do something. There were hundreds and thousands left behind. Negroes in shacks and cotton fields living in fear for their lives while they dreamed of the North. Well, things were a little better in the North. Doesn't mean they were good, but they were a little better in the North than in the South for black people. Hundreds, then thousands, white and black, marched in Alabama, in Carolina, in Georgia, and in Chicago, which is Illinois, right? So that's in the North. 250,000 at the March on Washington, peacefully singing "We Shall Overcome" and listening to the words that would inspire a nation. Look at all those people. And you may have seen photographs of this. March on Washington. Things nature never intended a child to see haunted them. Tragedy accompanies growth. No matter who we are, and Negroes are no different. So what they're saying is sometimes really bad things happen, tragedies, and sometimes people learn and grow from those things. But fever for the coming vote and equality pushed Coretta to a peace and wonderment of the Lord. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me round. That's a song you may have heard. And they're all marching together. And there's the American flag. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me round. Gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, walking up to freedom land. And some more of that song. Singing, always singing. And there's Coretta and her husband Martin. And what it says in the author's notes is really interesting. It says, Coretta Scott King was born in Alabama. As a kid, her brother and sisters and she walked 5 miles to the nearest school for Negroes. So at the time, black kids and white kids weren't allowed to be in the same school together. They were segregated. And it says here, Negroes was the term at the time used for black people. The bus carrying the white children passed them each morning on their way to the white school. The division of the races is called segregation, and many states enforce segregation through Jim Crow laws. And some other states in the North had what we call de facto segregation, where it might not have been a law on the books, but it separated people just the same. Growing up in a family of deep faith, Coretta often sang in church, and her voice was beautiful and soaring. At college, she became interested in the idea of civil rights, or the fair treatment of all people. She went on to Boston University to study concert singing, and there she met Martin Luther King, who was also interested in civil rights. They were soon married, and Martin introduced Coretta to the writings of Mahatma Gandhi, who believed that nonviolence was the true path to liberation for oppressed people. So you may have heard about Martin Luther King using the concept of nonviolence, and that concept he learned about from Mahatma Gandhi's teachings. Then it mentions one afternoon in Montgomery, Alabama, a black seamstress, Rosa Parks, refused to give up her seat on the bus to a white man. Now we know that Rosa Parks did that as part of a plan. She didn't just get tired one day, it was part of a plan. Martin Luther King was part of the plan, a lot of civil rights leaders were part of the plan, and they wanted to do that to show what was going on. Rosa Parks was arrested, and the South was never the same. Martin organized the Montgomery Bus Boycott and awakened the whole nation to the injustices of segregation. So, let's see what else I want to tell you about here that's on here. Oh, in 1968, Martin went to Memphis, Tennessee to support striking sanitation workers. Now, that's where the assassination of Martin Luther King happened. When he died, he and Coretta Scott King had 4 children, and Coretta Scott King went on to live quite a while, to 2006. She spent her days speaking out for racial and economic justice and helping to build the King Center, a living memorial that provides programs to educate people about the philosophies of nonviolence. Her courage and vision are an inspiration to all. That's just a little bit about Coretta Scott King. I know a lot of people know about Martin Luther King, but I wanted to make sure that you knew a little bit about Coretta Scott King. Okay, bye-bye friends. See you next time.